Hello, I'm Bruce Lorincz, and this show is entitled Bruce on the Loose, and that enables me to talk about to a lot of people around the Wadsworth area and in the school system and beyond. We have Greg Pickard today, the head baseball coach here at Wadsworth High School. And Greg, thanks for joining me for the show today. I'm real excited about it.
Thanks for having me on.
What about, how long have you been the head coach at Wadsworth High School?
This will be my 9th season as the head varsity coach. I was on for 6 seasons with Coach Brian Madigan as an assistant. So yeah, this will be my 9th year as a head coach.
Several things you really have learned during that time.
Plenty.
Tell us about a couple things maybe you've really learned and think that you've kind of got down pretty well.
Well, I think early on, you come in thinking you're going to add a lot, just a spark, and that you know more than what you really do. So you learn something new every day, not only about the game, but really on how to handle people. Whether it be players, understanding that their high school kids are going through a lot more than what's on the diamond, or even parents, that the communication aspect I think is really, really important. That's one thing that I've really tried to focus on, as far as just being open and honest and really communicating with not just the players but the parents as well. So they're not always on the same page, the kid and the parents, and sometimes you got to make sure that everybody's on the same page, working with you, not necessarily against what you're trying to do. So that's one thing, and just being really systematic about how we not really go about playing the game, but how we introduce the game, and understanding that really you can never learn too much, that you're always going to learn more. We can always change what we do to make it better, and just keeping an open mind when it comes to that.
Greg, what about your baseball background? Maybe from high school on, if you could let us know.
Yeah, really. I mean, I loved the game since I was little. I remember my dad coaching a farm league team, and I was the bat boy before I was old enough to play. And then, when at a real young age, a coach in Rittman, where I grew up, Coach Beaumont, took me when I was probably in 4th, 5th grade, and he would pick me up every day and take me to summer league games and high school games, and I'd do the scorebook for the high school teams, and I just loved the game, playing. And then I was fortunate enough to be able to go on to college and play at Walsh University for 4 years, and then got into coaching right after that. So I played a few years after high school, just in the summers and whatnot for fun, but really now it's coaching keeps you in the game, and now I got little ones coming up. I get to work with them too, so just love the game and being around it any way I can.
You mentioned Coach Beaumont being a mentor to you.
Sure.
Some other people along the way that you really need people to help you and keep saying, hey, you can do it, and kind of giving you the attaboy.
Yeah, I mean, Rittman's a very small community, and when I was in 6th grade, our team was fortunate enough, our high school team was fortunate enough to go to state, and it really captured not just the people that love baseball, but the whole community. And it was neat, and watching some of those guys on that team, that I had kind of looked up to as a youngster, go on to play college ball and stuff. And it was really something that then I kind of made a goal for myself that I wanted to do. And a lot of great coaches along the way. I think, I look at one of my strengths as a coach is not just having my own style, but I've taken a little bit from every coach I've probably had over the years, whether it's baseball or other sports. And I think that's going to be something that's real positive.
You're a little modest. You were all-state shortstop at Rittman. You forgot to mention that.
Yeah, I had a good senior year.
Okay. What about the Wadsworth program? What teams make up and comprise our program?
We have 3 teams. We have varsity, JV, and freshman. And really what we work on, what we explain to the kids early on, is freshmen and JV are really about development. We're really trying, it's not as much about winning games as it is getting the players in, getting them acclimated to the system, and really trying to find where they're going to fit best and preparing them for the varsity level. And then by the time we get our varsity level players, which can be any grade, freshman through senior. We've had freshmen letter at the varsity level plenty of times before. We're out there to win games and to compete at a high level, which we have to do in our league, which is very challenging.
Now, you can also, do you have a cap on number of each team, what you would like to have?
Numbers wise, we don't have a specific number. We try to keep a lot of freshmen in the program, just as even, to try to give them that extra year to grow and develop and mature, and really see who's going to buy in. Some kids are real quality ball players, but they realize that they're good at something else that they find more interest in. So we try to keep as many freshmen as we really can, and then usually around 15 to 18 per level is really good numbers. If we get above 18, you start really having a hard time getting everybody playing time.
What about your coaching staff? Can you talk about them for a moment?
Yeah, for sure. My right-hand man this year is Coach Shanker. He's been around for a long time. He started at the JV level. Actually, he was an assistant his first year, which was my second year. So he's been with us, with me since the beginning. He's going to move up to the varsity this year to be our head pitching coach. Unfortunately, we lost a good one, Coach Gerhardt, was with me for a long time, moved on and took a head job at Chippewa, but we're excited for him. And we got some new guys in. Coach Webb's going to come back. He served as a volunteer the last few years. He's going to come back and step back into the freshman role that he had for a few years before his son came through the varsity program. And then Coach Steve Deemer is going to jump on board with us this year. His son went through a few years ago, and so he's very familiar with our program. He's got a lot of experience coaching baseball in the summer. So we're going to get him in this year at the JV level. And then we got some former players coming back. Nick Bebout and Alex Lykos and Joey Collins are all going to come on as assistants and help in a variety of ways. But we're excited to get them back. They're now graduated college and in the workforce. And, we love to have guys back that went through the program and had a lot of success.
Yeah, sometimes certainly little things. You can tell them to look at something real trivial, small,
Sure.
but in the end, those details are very important.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what about the length of the season? Ohio, we know, isn't the most excellent part of the country.
Sure.
When the Ohio high schools say it begins, and when will it end?
It officially begins next Monday, which is February 24th. That's our first day we're allowed to have an official practice. And then hopefully, it'll end around June 12th at the state tournament here, which is actually right down the road in Akron this year at Canal Park. So, but it's not a long season as far as time-wise goes, but it really with the weather and you're stuck inside for a long period of time, then you get outside, then you get stuck back inside for a while. It can be very mentally challenging for the kids. So it's not a long season, but again, we talk about our season really never ends. We have an off month of August, which is a no contact period for coaches. And aside from August, we have something for the kids to be working on pretty much all year long, whether it be weightlifting or open cages or our throwing program in the fall. So we try to really emphasize the off season with the kids that aren't in other sports, which we would love to see them do other sports as well.
With extra helpers, they could also keep talking to the kids about, hey, it's going to be a good day tomorrow,
Yeah.
or also in the summer checking a couple kids out if they play on a travel team,
Sure.
and say, hey, they're really progressing well. Back to you. So I imagine that really helps.
It does. And the more people you can have that really share your same vision of what you want to do and understand what we're all trying to do, and that's one of the strengths we've had as a staff for really since I started is everybody's kind of on the same page. Nobody comes in and wants to do their own thing. We understand what we're trying to do, and one of our main goals of our program is to develop these kids both as young men and as ball players. And our goal is to give them the opportunity to go to college if they want that opportunity and they earn that opportunity. And we've had really a lot of success. About 50% of our graduating seniors are going on to play college ball or getting a chance to. So we're really proud of that.
I think that probably bodes well and says something about our league. We mentioned it briefly that if you really have, I don't think you have too many off days.
No.
When you're playing your league and the sun is out and you're playing, you can't take anyone for granted, can you?
No, not in our league. Our league is very, very challenging, in all sports, but in baseball specifically. There's several weeks in the year that we play 3 league games in a week, which is really taxing on your pitching staff. Not a lot of high school programs have 5, 6, real quality starters. So you got to really develop your pitching first, and really count on your top end guys to get you quality innings. And every team we play, you see Division I guys all over the league. So, it's a challenge every game. Pitching is fantastic. Very rarely do you play a league team that's going to beat itself. So you're going to really have to go out and play good baseball.
So really all 3 phases of the game. You certainly, the pitching, the offense, and defense, you have to be at your peak performance
sure.
in order, as you say, to compete and to play the Hudsons and Broadview Heights and just Brecksville, Broadview Heights, and everyone down the line.
Yeah, everyone's quality.
What about, we talked about the weather. What if your league games are during the week? What about you have a Saturday doubleheader? I know you always get together with Nick and Medina
Sure.
and some other quality teams. If that's rained out, you probably won't make that game up, would you?
It's challenging to make up non-league games, which honestly, talking about doubleheaders, I've tried to get away from even scheduling those. The state has went and lengthened our season by a week. So they pushed our state tournament back, which is nice for non-league games. You don't have to schedule those doubleheaders because, one, if you lose a doubleheader, you lose 2 games in one day, which is really tough to make up. And two, by the time you get through 2-3 league games in a week, and usually, you got one other league, a non-league game, and you get to a weekend to play a doubleheader, it really gets challenging. So just to find the pitching to do that. So I try to stick, and I was able to do it this year with our scheduling, only 1 game on Saturdays, but we usually have, we have at least 4 games a week, every week this season. So it does get challenging. Weather permitting, of course. But yeah, you can end up playing 5-6 days in a row if you get a few rainouts early. So.
What about you're dealing with umpires? I know a little bit about that, having worn the gear for a couple years. And how do you deal with umpires? And what do you say to them if you're not sure of a call or you're not sure if they were in position? And secondly, what about the fans? What if they cross the line in your judgment?
Sure. Well, first of all, just how I realized early on that the umpires we're going to have not only all year, but usually for several years. So you get to know them really well early. And the most thing is the umpires are out there to do what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing to try to do their job the best they can, and you got to understand that. You're never, whatever call they make, half the people there disagree. You know that better than anybody, right? So obviously there's times that in more tight games or sometimes just really bad calls happen. It's part of the game, unfortunately. So you try to deal with it the best you can. One of the big things that we have in baseball is it's kind of unlike football or basketball where there's not always an administrator, there's not always an athletic director that's able to be at the baseball game. So under OHSA state rules, when they're not there and we're home, I'm the one in charge of the fans and everything else. So we do a preseason packet, a manual for players and parents. And there is a section right in there about behavior at games and how we would like our players and parents to control themselves during a game, and really emphasize that they're representing not only Wadsworth but our program and that it's not going to help anybody by them making a scene at a game because of an umpire's call. So we have parents sign off on that, and we've had instances where we've had to pull it back out and say, look, you signed right here, and this is not something that's tolerated. And we've been pretty fortunate over the years since I've been here. We haven't had too many problems, with fans and with parents as far as umpires go. So knock on wood, that continues because that's nothing that's fun to deal with at a game.
And I have to tell you, it really is one of the first things that young people, when I talk to young people about trying to get into umpiring, they say, well, the fans and the grandparents in the summer leagues are really nasty, and why would I do that to take that harassment? And that's one of the top reasons why we can't get enough umpires, and we're kind of in a shortage situation.
We are, and I coach basketball too, and you're seeing the same thing in basketball. You're seeing shortages at different levels of, and then the problem there is then when there's shortages, we don't have any young guys coming up that, so sometimes we get guys that are in there a long time that, maybe are hanging on a little bit, and so it's a challenge, and I think especially in a suburban league, we have a really good group of coaches. We really don't have too many problems that I've seen with that, but you do see it unfortunately a lot in the summer when you go to games, and a lot of times at lower levels you see it, and that's unfortunate too because that's just setting a bad example for the kids.
Well, they have 7 coaches.
Right.
You're the hitting coach. I'm the outfield coach, and someone's the infield coach, pitching, and everyone has their own fiefdom, I guess, and they're promoting that.
Yep.
What about if you have a veteran team? Do you have preseason? Do you kind of look at preseason a little differently? Do you have a team with a lot of lettermen coming back?
Sure. We don't do much. We don't really do anything differently. We may not be as detailed early on, doing some bunt coverages, and we'll still do those, of course, a lot, but maybe not as much because the guys have been there and done that. Maybe we'll get a little extra hitting in while the younger guys do a little bit more of that. The good thing is when you get a veteran team coming back, or guys that we've had at the varsity level for several years, is we know what to expect. They know what to expect coming in. So we really hit the ground running once we get practicing. And if we get a day that it's nice out and we say we want to go outside, it's not, we can just send a message. It's given, and kids know exactly what to do. So it really helps as far as practice planning goes and how much we can get done in a day when you got guys that are coming back. And early in the year, we'll always practice all 3 levels together, all our kids, which is kind of a lot sometimes when we're aside, but it's great having the older guys being able to help lead the young guys. So yeah, it always is definitely, when you got a lot of returners back, makes it a lot easier for us as coaches.
What about when you find that last minute call? Technology is great, but sometimes it's not always accurate either. How do you communicate with maintenance, and how is your ground crew situation?
Our ground crews have been awesome over the last several years. Since they hired Drew as head of our maintenance on our ball field, it's come night and day. It's been since what it was early on. Early on, we nicknamed the field the Swamp because there was hardly any grass growing on it, and it was always wet, it seemed like. But he has done such an amazing job. The grass is really plush on the infield now. The dirt is it's probably one of the better fields as far as playing surfaces go in the league. It can rain, and it's really durable at this point. So we can get on there probably more times than other teams can on theirs. So that's a benefit for us. Still gets a little soft in the outfield, but if the dirt's good, we're ready to go. So we've made some improvements over the last several years. We put in grass baselines. That's helped a lot, and then just regular maintenance on it, and it's really come around. But again, like you said, you don't know. We'll have days where it's going to rain, but you try to get the game in. You get halfway through, you get rained out, or you schedule an outdoor practice so you don't have it inside, and then all of a sudden it pours, so you're stuck, maybe with a day just hitting the weight room or something. So you definitely have to be flexible in Northeast Ohio when it comes to spring.
But it is night and day versus inside versus out.
Oh,
you
yeah.
probably get so much more, the throws. You think you're making a long throw inside, and you get out,
Yep.
and boy,
the more you can get outside before you actually start playing is beneficial in so many ways, and arm care is probably one of the biggest. We're fortunate enough here in Wadsworth. We got great facilities. We got 2 turf football fields that sometimes we can get on just even to throw or take fly balls. Sometimes you can't, the first fly ball an outfielder sees is first game, and that's always a little scary.
Very much so, especially if it might be a young, underclassman.
Yeah, right,
Sophomore.
exactly.
I hope he
Exactly.
keeps his head on straight and catches it.
Sure.
Talking about some other things down the road in regards. Let me see what else did I want to say. How about any new rules? I know pitching has really come under focus the last 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
Trying to limit the innings of a pitcher. Anything beyond that?
Well, the pitch count rule came into effect a couple years ago. It really didn't have a huge effect on our program because we were following one that was pretty much identical to what the state put out. Obviously with the state, you have to be, by the book. It has to be perfect, where before we used it as a guideline, but it didn't really offer too many changes for us at the varsity level. Where we saw the biggest hit on that was the lower levels probably. Between freshmen and JV, sometimes guys moving around. So that was one thing, but the new rule this year is the DH rule. They've made a change in the DH rule, and it's really was put in place to help protect pitchers. Where I'll use, our best pitcher last year was Nick Lalithan, who was a pitcher of the year in the Suburban League, but he was also a great position player and great hitter. And, if we started a game and he got to 80, 90, 100 pitches and we were going to pull him out of the game, we obviously want to keep his bat in the lineup. We'd have to put him into the outfield, where at that point, he might have to make a strong throw from left field, which after 100 pitches might not be the best idea. So what they've done is basically made it so you can actually start, so my starting pitcher can also be listed as my DH. So if we have to go to the bullpen, my starting pitcher can then just move into the DH spot and hit for that guy coming in. So there's some different kind of quirks to the rules
kind of
still
nuances,
that I'm sure are going to be a headache for the first few weeks as coaches adjust to that. But that's really the only place I see us probably using that rule. I've kind of looked it over, and I think that's where it would benefit most, just to keep those pitchers' arms safe and healthy for the whole season.
when you indicated a pitcher then could go to another position, maybe outfield, it's really important for, as you develop kids, that they are able to play more than one position.
Sure, without a doubt, yeah.
So that gives you, again, more flexibility again. And again, with injuries or, something happens, someone's head's not in the game that particular day or whatever, then you can go ahead and make some moves.
For sure. A lot of our guys that come up, especially young guys, are a shortstop all their life, and we have a great shortstop, and this kid's a good player. We might have to learn how to play outfield for a season or two until the shortstop spot's open. And pitchers, the day of the guy that just pitches is pretty much over. Almost all our pitchers are also some of our better position players. So the one challenge for us as coaches is making sure that we're not having a kid throw 90 pitches on Tuesday and then playing shortstop on Wednesday. So we got to have flexibility there, as far as we got to have guys that can play multiple spots and kind of make up when our third baseman pitches. We got to have a guy to step in there, and then maybe he comes back to play third. Our second baseman might pitch the next game. He might have to play second. So flexibility is really important in high school baseball.
We talked about developing the JV and freshman team, and sometimes when we have bad weather, schools that I dealt with in the past, they said, well, we're canceling JV,
For sure.
and if they did have freshmen, and they end up playing 10 games.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was right, and as AD, I tried to get the kids, the JVs, to play as much or more than the varsity. Is that your philosophy too?
Yeah, we want to get as many games in as possible. The state says we get 27 and 4 scrimmages, and we do our best to get all those in. Obviously, over the last couple of years, we haven't been able to get to that number, but we've been pretty close. But yeah, you're right. Freshmen and JV, they're always the first to get bumped. But we have a lot of really good programs that are close to us, which makes it nice for last-minute scheduling, whether it be Highland or Norton or even Chippewa. We can always, if there's a day where we don't have a game, we'll try to get our lower levels on and play. And, a lot of times, especially with freshmen now coming in, we basically try to teach every freshman how to pitch because bottom line is if it's sunny out and the field's ready, we want them playing. And, we just need a guy to throw the ball over the plate. So that's one thing that I've seen with the pitch count rule. We've definitely tried to develop more kids to be able to, they might not be top-end pitchers, but if they can get on the mound and throw strikes and keep the game moving, you got a chance to be successful.
I think as the year goes on, people really get excited the fall and of course the winter with the wrestling and basketball here in Wadsworth. And then the spring, sometimes we get the spring, but the district really, I think, made a real good call in building you a facility so you could do some things. Could you tell us about what's in the new facility, kind of in the parking lot near the softball field?
Yeah, right back by the softball, baseball field. It's a multi-sport facility. But it's really perfect for us in baseball and softball. It's got three bays in it, real 90-foot bays that we can use for batting cages. They can go up and you can have an outer shell, so it gives us a wide range of things we can do in there. During the winter, we have open cages 3 days a week where anybody's welcome to come get swings in. We've been fortunate enough to be able to do some fundraising and put some real nice high-quality machines in there that the kids can use. We've got 3 mounds in there, which really helps us during the season to be able to get our pitchers really a lot of work that they need usually, when you got your pitchers up to 60, 70 pitches before the season and you only got 1 or 2 mounds, it takes a long time. So having 3 bays really helps that, move the process along and help our pitchers be ready when season starts. Just an amazing facility. It's all turf on the inside, so we can do defensive drills in there as well. But we can do just about everything. I mean, obviously it's a little bit smaller of an area than our field house here at the Y, so we can't get all of our guys in there at once, but we work a lot of 4-on-1s, which we're allowed to do all year round with defense and hitting, and it allows us as a staff definitely the flexibility and the ability to get our players a lot more involved in off-season workouts, so it's nice.
Were you and Coach Schmelzer involved in the design of it? And it's not real huge, but it sounds like you really can do a lot in it.
You can, and probably Coach Schmelzer with softball can do probably even more. But they were very open to a lot of the input that we had. When we went into this new league, they kind of asked each coach, what do we need to be successful? And I said, one of the biggest things is our off season is winter. And most people's off season is summer, and it's not for us because our kids are all playing in the summer. So we needed a place to train and for our kids to be able to work on baseball year round. So we were fortunate enough that was a priority for our district, and we're very grateful for it.
What about your expectations? Season, again, preseason, you're getting started next Monday, and I'm sure you can, if within your answer you can put about students that aren't going to make the team, the cuts. Probably not an easy decision for you.
No, it's not.
What are your expectations?
Well, we start tryouts on Monday. We're expecting around between 50 and 60 guys showing up, which is a lot. We usually get to around 50 is a good number, but like I said, sometimes it just all depends on the case and scenarios. So your cuts are never easy. We'd love to have everybody get the opportunity if they could, but unfortunately, sometimes it just, you just can't have that many kids and in a span of a month and a half, really season, get everybody what the time they need. So we have high expectations as every year. We got a very good core of kids coming back. We only have 6 seniors this year, but it's, even though it's a smaller class, it's a quality class. We got 6 quality kids. And we got a very strong junior class that'll really get a lot of time, and we got some young guys. So we feel we have a really good mix of varsity leadership, some new guys coming into varsity that we're counting on. We feel like we're really strong defensively, especially up the middle. We have a very good shortstop in Peter Jelenic. We have a very good catcher in Connor Stewart, and we've got our center fielder and Ben Carroll back, all our juniors, by the way, which is really good. And then, on the mound, we've got our 2 and 3 and 4 from last year coming back, who will now be our 1, 2, and 3. We're hoping some other guys step up. They've been working really hard over the offseason, showing a lot of promise. So really right now, I think if we can develop a few more arms on a consistent basis, I think we'll have a good opportunity to be very competitive in the league.
Umpires especially appreciate good catchers, blocking balls. We now it's presenting the pitch to the
without
umpire.
a doubt. Roberto Perez, right?
Very, very much so. Yeah.
We've been very blessed with catchers over my tenure as a coach. We've had some really good ones.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck for the season.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to seeing another successful Grizzlies baseball season. Thanks for viewing Bruce on the Loose. And Friday we have Gabe Tudor, the assistant superintendent.